Hi, my name is John Webster, and this is my Missing Booster Club Funds presentation for EDL 854. Summary of the case: Mr. Stevens has been the principal at middle school for several years. He appears to have a very strong relationship with parents, faculty, staff, and students. He does appear to be overworked a little bit on school event nights because of a lack of administrative staff. He has to take care of crowd monitoring, officials, coaches, players, concession stands, gates, and any other little thing that happens to pop up during school events. And because of this, he relies heavily on the PTA. The PTA has been good to him. They provide workers for the different events. They've always done well in being accountable for their actions. Mr. Stevens was also approached by Miss Bowman about using some of the PTA funds to help her daughter pay for a cheerleading event in New York City after being named an all-state cheerleader. Mr. Stevens rejected this because it only would benefit one student. Mrs. Bowman was not happy about the rejection and appears to be disgruntled since then. Miss Bowman also was involved in taking money. The gate receipts don't add up for Mr. Stevens. There seems to be some suspicious activity as far as the number of bills that were collected. There was no 50. Mr. Stevens saw an individual pay with a $50 bill. So we got a lot of information that doesn't quite add up right here. Just on the surface, it appeared Miss Bowman may have been involved in maybe taking some money out of the gate, but we have to be careful with the assumptions we make with the limited information. Category 1, problem identification analysis. What do I know? The big things we know is that the ticket sales gate was short. The district used pre-numbered tickets and had a system that would help ensure that this type of thing wouldn't happen. Miss Bowman did say she discarded 10 tickets because they were torn and not able to be used. There was a missing $50 bill that was Mr. Dumas paid with, and Mr. Stevens talked to him about paying with the 50 at the game. We do have an upset individual, Mrs. Bowman, for the PTA funds request being rejected to help her daughter. And this does appear to be the first issue with ticket sales not matching up. Concession stand gates appeared to be in line. So there's the fact that this is the first issue. Miss Bowman was upset, and that Mr. Stevens knows that there is money missing. Kind of paints a bad picture for Miss Bowman. But again, we need to do further research into finding out what all happened that night of the game. Continued, what do I need to know? I need to know the people who helped collect gate fees for the PTO, and then I need to be able to talk to those people and see if they remember anybody paying with a 50, see if they remember tickets not being used, see if they remember anything that might stick out to help further investigate the missing money. So these are all big things, and anybody who helped balance the gate after the game would be important to know, to see if there was anything that was out of the ordinary with the way the funds were totaled. Category 2, proposed plan of action. Again, first I want to interview all the people involved. I want to interview Ms. Bowman last. I want to make sure that the people who are not the prime suspects, see if they can offer any information. Specifically going to ask about taking larger bills and the discarded tickets. Next, I'll call Mr. Dumas and double check to make sure he did pay with a $50 bill, and maybe there wasn't a 20 or something else like that, just to be 100% sure on that. And I'll also contact the PTA leaders and the Board of Education and tell them that I plan on filing a police report for the incident, just to show everyone that this is a serious matter, and that this kind of activity won't be tolerated, even if it is a smaller amount of, say, $50 missing. There needs to be a clear message sent. That is money that is intended for the students, and it needs to be used in the proper methods and accounted for in the proper ways. And then finally, I would work with the PTA to develop a safer way of counting money, of having a PTA member and a staff member count the receipts together with two people there, just to help protect both agencies. Category 3, resolve the issues. again, this is a thing where we need to gather as much information as possible and document all the information that we gather, document the interviews, the phone calls, what I remember from what Mr. Stevens remembers from the night. These are all important things because documentation is going to be very important if this does become a legal matter. The school needs to be able to cover its butt on this stuff. So if the evidence does support that Miss Bowman was responsible for the missing money, I would like to meet with her with a PTO leader and the superintendent present, just to show her the seriousness of it, and hopefully she'll just fess up and say what she did, and we can move on from there. If the information doesn't lead to it, then we got a whole nother mess because we obviously missed something somewhere, and it could have been a simple mistake as somebody gave out a $50 bill instead of a five. Maybe something was put away in the wrong place, and that's the big thing here is don't jump to conclusions just because Miss Bowman has a motive and opportunity. So, and then Miss Bowman would obviously be removed if she was found deemed responsible. Category 3 continued on this slide. Finally, again, I come up with a new way to count gate receipts that involves a school staff member and a PTO member, and maybe a multiple of each, just to help protect the people handling the money and the school to ensure that the funds equal out where they're supposed to be, and that it limits the opportunity for money to be mishandled. Debrief the problem. Kind of what I was thinking in this is my gut reaction to this is Miss Bowman took the money because she was upset about being rejected, her request being rejected to help her daughter go to New York. This is an easy gut assumption to make with the information presented, but again, we have to be careful and do our due diligence to make sure that we're not just accusing Ms. Bowman without any proof. That's why I decided talking to the ticket takers and Mr. Dumas were important to make sure we had as much information as we could before we talked to Ms. Bowman. Changing the way the money was counted, I think, is just a good way of protecting the district and the PTO or PTA, in this case, from any other possible accusations of this. The more people we have on this stuff, we reduce the chances of making errors, and there's plenty of people there to hold each other accountable. And I want the PTO members and superintendents there to show Ms. Bowman that we're serious. It also shows the stakeholders that we're taking our responsibilities seriously when it comes to handling money that's intended for student use, and that we are being upfront and transparent that, when something like this does happen, so that there is a level of trust that is being built between the school and the parents. Unresolved problems from this scenario. Miss Bowman's still upset about her daughter's trip. I think this is going to be a very difficult thing to handle for the next several days and through her daughter's trip. There's going to be tension that needs to be worked out between Miss Bowman and the school, and it could be taken out on the wrong people. So this is something that we'll have to really safeguard and protect her daughter, and especially if this would go down a legal path, which for the sum of money probably wouldn't, but there's going to be unresolved issues from her feelings on this. We still don't know if the money's taken from just the information presented in the case study. That's an unresolved problem. And also, where did that money go if she didn't take it? If after interviews and talking things out, it doesn't look like Miss Bowman had an opportunity to take it, then we need to figure out where that money actually went. And Mr. Stevens is still overworked. He needs some help monitoring the game situations, the school events. The district needs to find a way to help him to kind of ease his burden on game nights and other school event nights, so that he's not in a position to miss gate funds or something going on in the activity. Reflect on Standard 8, Category 5. How do you as a school leader promote effective management of the school or district? This investigating the missing funds demonstrates the awareness of how important it is to monitor our district funds. This shows that that Mr. Stevens is on top of the situation. He is aware of when things don't quite seem a little fishy, and that he's willing to go look into it deeper, even though it may not look good for him or the school at that particular time. In the long run, it will. Not approving Ms. Bowman's request shows that he is responsible with district funds, and he's looking at what's going to benefit all students, not just one student. And then creating a new money system, I think, is a money counting system is really important because it does show self-reflection, and it shows that the district leaders are constantly trying to improve their school setting. How to use a school leader to promote social learning of every student. Again, not spending money on one student means that we can spend money on all students, whether it's buying textbooks or funds or another school activity. This allows more students to have success. Holding the guilty parties accountable demonstrates the community and schools and the staff that we are actively monitoring the different aspects of the school monetarily. It also shows the students that there are consequences for your actions. I think this is extremely important, that young people understand that they will be held accountable even as adults for anything that they do. And then if Mrs. Bowman was responsible for the money, it's important to keep an eye on her daughter during the school day to make sure she's not being bullied or harassed by her peers or, in rare cases, even teachers and whatnot, because of the situation where her mom did take money. She'd be in a very difficult spot. It's nothing that she did, but her mother could have possibly put her in a very tough situation at school. As a school leader, how do I promote academic learning? This one was a really tough question to answer because this doesn't appear to be an academic issue. Other than, again, the fact that the money wasn't used for just one student, more students can benefit from academic programs that the money could pay for. Mr. Stevens does appear to have a strong relationship with the parents and students, and I think that allows for active communication on all issues, not just this particular issue in the case study, but if a student's struggling in the classroom or is having some issues, that positive relationship definitely shows that he can reach out to the parents and have positive communication. And then the high participation rates show that the school, by the students, shows the school is the student school. I think ownership in schools is something some places lack. In the really successful schools, the kids are proud of being students there. They're proud of being wearing the jerseys and having the name on their chest and that kind of stuff. And I think that's an example of, again, Mr. Stevens' relationship with those kids. This is my presentation. I thank you guys for taking time. I've enjoyed the class, and good luck to everybody in the future.